94 Rocks, JC hanging backstage at the Midsummer Music Fest, and I'm hanging out with a couple of guys that you're going to see on September 30th at the Silver Bullet Bar and Grill, coming up for our 6th annual End of Summer Bash. They're our headliner, the guys from Any Given Sin. I've got Vic, I've got Mike, and first of all, Vic, thanks so much for joining me this afternoon, and how you doing? How was the drive here today?
We're doing great. Thank you for having us. The drive was tremendously awful because it was about 20 hours, but it was a nice drive. It was just very long.
And Mike, you said you already love Minnesota. You want to be? Maybe you should get some land here in the future, huh?
I called my real estate agent this morning, actually. So yeah, it's in the works. I love the place.
But he's broke, so that's what he's real estate.
He's broke, though. Well, we're going to try to change that, all right? That's what's happening. Hey, let's talk about Any Given Sin, I guess. And for our listeners, they, I think, know you pretty well because we spin a lot of your songs. But give us a little bit of the background, Vic, of how this band actually all came about.
So Mike and I, we played in a band previously together. He came in a little later as the guitar player. When I stepped out of that band, Mike approached me about being in a band that he had already started beforehand, had the name for, had a lot of stuff going, and we just started writing songs and then just kind of snowballed from there.
Is that about right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was probably 2016, Vic?
Something like that.
I think so. I think it was 2016. And actually what's coincidental is the very first song we wrote was Dynamite. The second song we wrote was Another Life. The third song we wrote was Insidious, and that's the order that they came out in singles. So we had other songs, but those are the ones that were picked for singles, and they were the first 3 songs that we wrote.
You mentioned those songs, by the way, too, and the thing is that Dynamite really took off, and I think you got a lot of help, I think, from Serious Octane on that time, right, Vic?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they pretty much, I'd say they broke us there, especially the early day there. We went from kind of zero to hero with that song on their platform, and then it kind of all just went from there for us, I'd say.
And the question I guess I got for both of you, and I'll ask Mike first, is, of course, you seem like you had good momentum going with Any Given Sin, and then this thing called COVID happened and a pandemic happened and everything just stopped. Did you feel that you kind of lost some of that momentum a little bit, I guess, after having such a good run of music going up the hill, I guess?
I think all artists did, at least to some degree, but we were vigilant in making sure we kept going, so we actually shot videos without using a videographer. We shot our shadows. That was the Insidious video came out during the height of the pandemic. And we made sure we kept releasing songs. Obviously, we couldn't tour, so I'm making up for that now. But I definitely, just because we couldn't tour and it was so hard to get anybody to do anything because everybody was scared to death, I definitely felt it as well as probably every other artist did.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, you want to put out new music, you want to make a record, and then you want to go out and tour, so that's kind of the whole process, and unfortunately, nobody was able to do that, and for a band like you guys, an up-and-coming band, a baby band, we'll call you, or whatever, it's got to be tough to kind of start all over again.
More or less. What was probably great for us is that it was right at the beginning. If we had been like, now we have all this debt, maybe we've incurred a lot of stuff, and then it stopped us, I don't know what that would have done. So if this was going to happen, I think right at the beginning was probably the best time. Now we can just keep punching, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. You know.
And now, obviously, you got a new album coming out here in August, The War Within, and it's going to feature a lot of the songs that you've already released. Let's talk about that a little bit. This is your first full-length album, too. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Talk about the album and that, and the tracks that are going to be on there, and I guess kind of the history of those tracks to put on this new album.
Sure. So we'll have the previous singles that we've released before that a lot of people have heard at this point. And then we have a good many other songs. We've done some collabs with some other writers. We've done some. We've used the same producer through this whole album, but we've done a few different collabs. Had a couple other guys come in and just give their 2 cents and try some things. So the second half of this album will sound probably a little different than the first half, just because we've had more time. We've been growing more. You know, a lot of things got written all at once, and then we started. Over time, writing more with other people. So,
same question for you, Mike. Talk about this album and that, and the making of it, and obviously, coming out here in August and your first full album. You got to be excited about that.
Very excited about it. Like Vic said, I think 6 of the songs that are on this album people have already heard because they've been coming out since 2017. There's 11 tracks on the album. Hopefully, I don't want to spill the beans on which one's going to be released when the album is dropped because that's still being talked about actually. But hopefully everybody digs the other songs too. So we're looking really, really forward to starting writing the album number 2 now that we've gotten our feet wet and have some momentum going.
All right, well, you'd maybe just answer my next question because I wasn't sure if there was going to be another album right away, or a lot of artists now what we're seeing is they're just putting singles after singles after singles out. I guess what's your thought process of this? Do you like the single after single thing, or do you like an actual full-length album, Vic?
Sure. We've been very successful. Our whole independent time, we were doing singles. So that ended up being really successful for us. We were able to keep pushing one off the next one and one off the next one and things like that. So that really helped. Once we got with Mascot, it became a little bit different kind of focus to, like, let's look at albums and singles. Let's do the traditional kind of thing. But so we're continuing on that path. But we're always going to be in this mindset of probably trying to write songs that are going to go out there and be a single or be a radio thing. You know, it's so ingrained in us a little bit at this point just because that was our major push at the beginning. So, but we're looking forward to the second album because this is going to go a lot faster than our last album because we're going to go it kind of in one shot more than spread out over the years.
Let's talk about, obviously, rock radio. I've talked to a lot of different artists. In fact, last weekend I was over in Rockfest. I was talking with Jacoby. I was talking with Ronnie. And actually, Ronnie, I was really surprised from following your verse, said if it wasn't for radio, he wouldn't be where he is today, which I thought was a little bit surprising. But, let's talk about that, Mike. Talk about rock radio and what it's done for you guys.
Like Vic said, Sirius XM Octane did break us. So some bands I know get this huge internet following, social media following, and they have millions of streams without ever being played on the radio. There's different paths to success. Ours was radio, and if it wasn't for that, we would not be. We would still be a garage band playing in Baltimore.
And obviously, this is where you want to be. This is the next step where you want to be. But I know you want to get bigger and better, and yet be on a bigger stage. So I guess what is kind of your ultimate goal, Vic, with this band as you continue to grow?
Definitely, I would love to quit my day job, get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, we just want to be able to do this and feel like that we're making a good living. We can support our families, and we could focus on this 100%. I think that's kind of where I am. I think that's an achievable goal. I don't really look at it as how many fans will we have, how many with that. I don't know. I'd like all of them, of course. But I think it's more like we just all have this. This is a dream, and we just want to be able to do that one thing and focus on that. And it also sustain us. I think that's pretty much where most of us want to be.
Is there somebody, I guess, as you guys were younger growing up that you kind of looked up to that maybe kind of influenced you, kind of the direction you guys are today?
I have a lot of different musical influences, Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, all those sorts of guys. I was a 90s kid, so that's where most of my stuff comes from. I'd say just I don't know if it's one band. It was just the atmosphere, the whole lifestyle of it. And I don't mean like the sex, drugs, rock and roll part. I mean like you're going out, you see a lot of cities, you're meeting new people all the time, you're doing something you love that you're good at. It was kind of that atmosphere of it all that really made me want to be a musician.
And Mike, how about for you? I guess growing up as a kid and that, what gravitated you, I guess, to be more of a rock guy?
I grew up with much heavier music. I'm a big Metallica fan. I was also very like Ministry. I liked a lot of industrial stuff. So what happened with Vic when Vic joined the band? He was kind of on right field. I was kind of on the left field. Then we met in the middle, and that's the sound you hear. Ended up being whatever it is. We didn't try. We never sat down and said we want to try to sound like this type of genre. We just started writing stuff together, and with how he writes, how I write, I think it heavied him up a little bit and made me a little less heavy. But it works. I mean, meeting in the middle like that, it just works. We have a chemistry about us, and it's great.
Well, I saw you guys perform a couple years ago at Rockfest, and now you guys are a couple years older, so I'm assuming that you're a little more seasoned in that and kind of continuing that plateau up. So what are our fans in central Minnesota, of course, later on today going to see, but also coming in September? What kind of energy, do we expect out of any given Sin show?
Oh, well, I don't know. We try to be. We're not extremely flashy. I will tell you that. We're not extremely flashy guys. We like to, when we write music, we really like to feel that sort of thing, and it's a lot of feeling, and it's a lot of thinking about turmoil and things like that. So we're I don't know the best way to say it. Like we try to be intimate with the crowd, feel emotion. We also try to have a good time and make some jokes and crack some jokes. We like to talk to the crowd back and forth. We like to banter. You know what I mean? So that's always fun. I don't know. We're not choreographed at all, so it's you never know what's exactly going to happen when we get up there. So, which I kind of enjoy the most.
I love it, and that's all right. Just fly by the seat of your pants. Kind of how I do interviews. I have nothing scripted. Let's just talk and have some good times here. Let's talk about it. You guys obviously have done a lot of traveling lately. So, what's it like traveling with all you guys together? Is there any issues at all, or does everybody get along so far, Mike?
We get along great, but the issues depends on what we have for lunch, because it can get pretty stinky in the bus with six people. Well, yeah, Vic. It's Vic. I was trying not to embarrass him, but okay, it's Vic.
I love it. I know we got to get going here because you got a show to perform here, but let's talk about the new album coming out. Obviously, it'll be coming out in August. Tell us a little bit more about the album, Mike, when it's coming out.
It will be out within the first week of August. August 4th actually is drop date, so it will be available on all streaming platforms, and we also will have hard copies available online at shows, whatever. So August 4th it will be out.
And of course, if anybody wants information about Any Given Sin, they can go to all the socials and stuff.
Absolutely. Yep. AnyGivenSinBand.com is our website, or you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all of them.
And of course, I'm going to give you the last chance to talk here to get people in Central Minnesota to buy those tickets to come see you at our 6th annual End of Summer Bash. So why should they buy tickets to see Any Given Sin coming up in September, Vic?
Because we love you guys, and we need gas money. That's not an untrue statement. No, we have not gotten to venture to your state very much. And so come on out and see it. We're going to give you a great show. We've got a great lineup coming with us. So it's just going to be a good night. There's no reason not to come.
It's going to be a great night, and yes, they need gas money, and make sure you buy a lot of merch so they can get back to the next place they need to go to also. Hey, guys, thanks so much. It was a lot of fun to get to meet you a little bit. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple months, too, in Minnesota once again at the End of Summer Bash. Vic, Mike, thanks so much for joining me.
Much appreciate it, man.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Once again, that's Vic, that's Mike, that's Any Given Sin backstage here at Midsummer Music Fest on 94 Rocks.